All right, all right. Good day, good people. Allow me to formally introduce myself to you. My name is Clinton Jiggets, but I go by the name of Quick Jigs, and I want to welcome you to the very first episode of the Know It All podcast. Appreciate it. All right, now that we're getting ready to get started, this first episode, we're really just going to focus on covering some of the basic topics that this show is going to cover. I'll do a brief introduction of myself and set the stage for what you can expect as we move on. Now, the sole focus of this podcast is to help enlighten people and help bring more quality content that is very much in a positive manner to help push optimistic and positive attitudes towards really anything that you may be approaching in life. So again, allow me to introduce myself to you. My name is Clinton Jiggets. As you explore the the best version of yourself. I like to live by the motto, let me be great. So that's my goal here, to help others thrive and grow and become better at whatever challenges they're looking to overcome. But along the way, we'll have some fun. We'll talk about things that are funny. We'll talk about things that are very serious. We'll talk about positive vibes and motivation. We'll talk about fitness, politics, sports, side hustles, how to make more money. But what I've found in my time is that in life, we are constantly evolving and growing, and it's essential to keep learning and pushing ourselves to be the very best that we can be. It doesn't matter whether you're trying to stay motivated, get in shape, to stay informed about politics, to explore new hobbies, obviously to put yourself in a better financial situation so you can take better care of your family. Each week, we will cover insightful topics around these subject matters and more. We'll have insightful interviews and discussions with experts and SMEs across the board. But ultimately, every day, we're hoping to share stories and real content and information that's going to help you grow and become a better person. Now, again, this is the very first episode of the Know It All podcast. So without further delay, let's get into our first topic. Motivation. Motivation is an incredibly special component to life as it relates to me. And it's something that I try to live by, I try to preach by. Anyone who knows me in real life knows that I'm all about positive energy and positive vibes, almost to an annoying level. I'm always trying to find the positive part of any situation. Now, this isn't all wholly owned by me. There's lots of great positive outlets that one can use to become better. In fact, the title of today's episode is Never Finished. The reason why I titled it Never Finished is because I'm currently in the process of reading David Goggin's book, Never Finished. It's an incredibly powerful and a really, really good book. I actually, so far, I'm about halfway done, as you can see here. So far, I like it even more than I liked Can't Hurt Me, which was David Goggin's first book. Of course, if you're not very familiar with David Goggins, I think it'll be incredibly helpful to kind of give you a brief introduction. So David Goggins, again, he's the author of two books, the first of which being Can't Hurt Me, and then now his most recent book that came out just late last year is called Never Finished. David Goggins, he's a man who I think truly needs no introduction. He's a well-known and world-renowned motivational speaker. He's a retired Navy SEAL. He's an ultra-endurance athlete. We'll get a bit more into my philosophy and how I approach fitness, but this guy, he is on level 1 million. He runs these ultra endurance races where you're running 130, 135 miles at any given time, like Badwater or the Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc. He's doing all these different challenges, but he really focuses on writing and motivating others by understanding the incredible power that is within your own mindset. So we all see incredible challenges in life. He shares some of the challenges that he's seen, like poverty and racism and health problems. But his focus is always on mental toughness and what it takes for you to get greater and better at overcoming your daily challenges. And that's what I want to focus on this first segment about, which is motivation. We all have things we want to achieve in life. The real question is, what is your motivation? What is it going to take for you to become the best version of yourself? I personally believe that the best place to start is by getting a pen and paper, getting a notebook, getting on the computer, but writing out your thoughts, writing out your goals, and being the first person to hold yourself accountable. When we're in school or we're at work or when we're children at home, we have a person or a system that holds us responsible. But in life, as an adult, ultimately, you get to hold yourself responsible. I remember being a young adult. I'm 40 now. But the first time I realized I didn't have to eat the vegetables if I didn't want to. That was a mind shift, because I realized that I was in control now. But then it becomes the challenge of your ability to find your motivation and what's going to help you overcome your challenges and find your moments of prosperity. And I say moments of prosperity because no one's always prospering. No one's always on 10. No one is always having a great day. But do you have the ability to focus and to motivate yourself to overcome your daily, your weekly, your monthly, your annual challenges to become the best version of yourself? So I think it starts with writing down your goals. But then you have to hold yourself responsible and be honest with yourself. If you're able to lie to yourself, then it ends there. Because if you're able to lie to yourself and say, I gave my best today, and you know good and goddamn well that you gave 50% or 60%, 70%, whatever it is, then you're able to lie to yourself. You're never going to be able to find that true lane of motivation and positive energy. So my advice to my listeners is to find the space, find the goals, and then remain focused on achieving those goals. And in order to remain focused on achieving those goals, it drives me to the second topic that I wanted to cover today, and that happens to be discipline. Let's get started. What is discipline? Discipline is your ability to adhere to steps or stages in order to achieve a foreseen goal. So your discipline is what allows you to remain focused when you have every reason to be distracted. Your discipline is what it's like when you wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning to go to the gym. Discipline is when you know that you have to lay out your clothes the night before because you're not really a good morning person, but you know it helps you really get your day started if you lay your clothes out the night before. Discipline is understanding what your limits are. So you might want to be like Jane over here or John over there, but you know what your limits are. So if Jane is lifting 150 pounds, but you know that last time you lifted 120 pounds, it was quite uncomfortable, you won't let your ego get in the way of your discipline that you have in place to protect yourself, but also to help you to achieve your goals. So discipline is an incredibly critical stage in anything you want to achieve in life. And that drives me to one of the key components of my life that I think should be part of everyone's life, and that's health and fitness. So allow me to give you a little bit of background about myself, and then we'll get into this a bit. So I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. You can see my Ravens hat here. I'm all about the Ravens. I'm all about my local teams. I'm all about Baltimore. It's tatted on my arm. You probably can't see it very well, but you can trust me. I love Baltimore. I'm from Baltimore, born and raised. This is where I live. This is where I call home. This is where I plan to continue to call home. But the reason why I've raised my start is I want you to see where I'm coming from. So I'm a 40-year-old man from Baltimore. And when I was in the 5th grade, my home caught on fire. So obviously my parents' home caught on fire. It was a really scary event, but it was some sort of eureka moment that I had on that evening of the fire. So luckily enough, my father was able to save the entire family. He woke up, saw the smoke, saw the fire. My younger cousin was at the house that evening. It's my sister, me, and my parents. And he was able to help evacuate all of us from the house. Everyone was safe and alive. But from that day forth, I suddenly realized while only in the 5th grade, that I was mortal. Prior to that, I can't tell you that I actually really thought about the fact that my demise is only thing that I know is going to happen one day for sure. But what it did is it shifted how I appreciate my days. I suddenly became this optimistic person who tried to find the positive in everything. And I'm talking about finding the positive in every day to a point where people think it's an act and it's phony. And it's only people that have a sustained relationship with me that realize this motherfucker stay positive. And it's annoying because it is so incredibly difficult to stay positive all the time. And trust me, I have moments where I let my bad days get the best of me, but I try to limit them and keep them few and far in between. So over my 40 years of life, I've had dozens of challenges that I've been able to overcome. But one of the hallmarks of my personality and my characteristics, my persona, is that I'm an incredibly optimistic and positive person. I like to say that I'm relentlessly optimistic, relentlessly positive, and again, I live by the motto, let me be great. That is my advice to you. Find your motivation, find your discipline, hold yourself responsible. Don't wait for someone else to step up and do it for you. Now, when it comes to finding this lane, you might need to get professional help. Nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with that. I am 190,000% behind mental health awareness. But whatever it takes for you to get to where you need to go, ultimately, you're in control of your mind state. And David Goggin touches on this a great deal in his book about the power of his mind to overcome. And this man is a motherfucking savage. And what's really neat is Can't Hurt Me. I read that via the audio book. This one, I'm actually reading the book, but his voice is still in my head as I'm reading this book. I'm hearing his voice as I read the content. And I share that because it resonated with me how powerful he's been able to curate his mind to achieve his goals. And that leads me to the next topic that I'd like to cover today, which is fitness. So fitness, it's an incredible part of my life that I'm very much focused on. And I'll tell you another quick story. So it's 2006. I'm 24 years old. My mother, my father, my sister, my uncle, and I, my aunt, we're all headed down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for vacation. My sister and I, because we're young adults, we actually plan to spend an evening in Miami while we're there as well. So what do you think about when you're talking about going on vacation? You're talking about taking your shirt off, putting on your trunks, putting on your swimwear, and going outside. But you also want to look good, right? So I went and got on a scale because I know I'm not a fit monster, but I'm like, let me just see how what I'm working with. I got like 3 weeks before we go to Florida. I'm gonna try to get myself right. So I get on the scale. I'm 5'5" on my very best day of the week. I got on the scale, 235 pounds. What? It made no sense to me. I was like, I don't know how that happened. But then after I got on the scale and I see that I'm 235 pounds, suddenly I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like, where did these boobs come from? Because I didn't know these were here. What? This spare tire, all of this. I didn't know any of this was here. If you've asked me, I could still go play basketball or football the way I did when I was in high school or when I was in college. So I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I decided I was going to change my life. This is where discipline comes in. I decided I was going to adopt a disciplined lifestyle and change my life. But Florida's in 3 weeks. Ain't no reason to get drastic right now. I'm going to go down there. I'm going to eat what I want to eat. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm just not going to take my shirt off. We going to be good. So I come back from Florida and decide to adopt the South Beach diet, which I did do. For 9 months, I ate 3 meals a day, the exact same meal every day. I had turkey bacon, eggs, and fruit for breakfast. I had chicken and vegetables and rice for lunch. I had chicken or steak and vegetables for dinner every single day for 9 months straight. And over the course of those 9 months, I went from 235 pounds to 185 pounds. Thank you. Now, I wasn't done yet when I hit the 185 pounds. I still wanted to lose more weight. Suddenly I decided I wanted to be able to fit a small shirt, not even a medium. I wanted to fit a small. This is from me wearing XLs and so forth. So I lose another 30 pounds. I get down to 155 pounds. So that's the smallest I've ever been as an adult. Now, I wasn't in love with myself yet because I felt like I was too small. I'm already short. Now I look like somebody can just, and I'm going to fall over. Like, I don't want to be this guy. So I decided that in addition to this running I was doing and hated, I was going to start weight training. So I did a few Yahoo searches. It was I don't think I Google searched yet. Found a couple of free workout plans and just started to follow them at the community gym of the apartment I was living in. Started to fall in love with the gym. And then I fell in love with the discipline of the gym. Being able to say, I'm eating what I'm supposed to eat. I'm waking up, I'm going to the gym, or I'm going to the gym after work, or whatever the routine was, because I had to switch it depending upon my work schedule. But then I stumbled upon CrossFit in 2009, and it was love at first sight. It was fantastic. Hearing the weights hit the ground, a bunch of people running around being badasses, picking up heavy things, running fast, jumping high, all these different components, and I just knew it was something that I wanted to do. So I spent the next 12 years or so doing CrossFit as often as I possibly could and promoting it as often as I could to as many people as I could. But I bring that up because finding a disciplined routine that I could stick to was the key to my overall health and well-being. So now I've broadened my knowledge. I've read a lot. I've learned a lot. Now that I'm 40, I actually don't do CrossFit as often. I do more functional bodybuilding, just trying to improve my body and be strong and be flexible and try to keep my body as durable as possible. So hopefully I got another 60 years left, at least 50, right? And the goal here is to live a long and sustainable life. But fitness and health is the cornerstone of that. You have to find your why. And my why is I want to live a long life. But my other why is, I say that as a joke to people, but I really mean it. Like, I want to be the fittest dad at the playground. Or I want to be the dad that gut is not hanging over his belt. I want to be the dad that my kids look up to because I'm showing them healthy routines that they can adopt and they understand the importance of taking care of their health and well-being. So my advice to you is while you're improving your mental and you're becoming a more optimistic and positive person, that you also have to take care of your body, what you put into your body and what you allow to consume your time with your body. I personally like to live by the 90-10 rule. If you're eating the things you're supposed to eat 90% of the time, then the other 10% enjoy yourself. Life's too short. And I always said, I don't want to be 95 years old, laying on my deathbed and think, damn, I haven't had a cheesesteak in 50 years. For what? Food is one of the most enjoyable components of life. So don't put yourself in this absolute box that says you can't enjoy the things that you enjoy, but you have to be disciplined to understand when and how you should enjoy these things. And that's my basic philosophy towards fitness. Find something that you love, whether it's running, Zumba, CrossFit, bodybuilding, powerlifting, power walking, aerobics, swimming, bicycling. It doesn't matter what you choose. Find something that you like and stick to it. And the caveat, because some people, no matter what the choices are, they're not going to find a fitness routine that they like. So now you have to say, is it more important to do things that I like, or is it more important that I protect my body and my health and well-being? So now you have to find what you can tolerate. That might be a 35-minute walk 4 days a week. Whatever it is, adopt something and become disciplined in order to achieve that goal. And that's my advice as it relates to fitness. Hope you guys are still sticking with me. Again, this is the first episode of the Know It All podcast. And again, I am your host, Quick Jigs, and we're going to move on to our final section. All right, let's talk about politics. Whew. The world is an interesting place. It's an interesting place. Again, a little bit of a backdrop about myself. I'm 40 years old. First time I ever voted in a national election was for Al Gore in 2000. And that was my only vote I've ever made that I made because I thought it was what I was supposed to do. You know, growing up as a black man in America, you're kind of taught by default that you're supposed to be Democrat, right? So that's what I did. I voted for the Democrat. I voted for Al Gore. Now, fast forward, as I started to read more and learn more, and I became completely consumed with the news, specifically political news, I started to call myself a moderate and independent. So then I switched my party affiliation from Democrat to non-affiliated because in the state of Maryland, independent is actually another political party. I decided I didn't want to be associated with any particular party. So I became a registered unaffiliated, and I voted all across the board. I voted for Republicans. I voted for Democrats. If you told me to break it down percentage-wise, up until 2020, it was probably 65-35 on the Republican side. Now, what I found over the last now 10 plus years is when President Obama was elected, the racists decided to come out of the shadows. They were no longer living behind the curtains. They became bolder and more bold and more bold. And when Trump was elected, he electrified them even more. And even when he was initially elected, I was very naive in saying, you know, this guy is a class A narcissist and he just likes anyone that likes him, but he doesn't really think the way they think. And obviously I've learned a lot more since then, since 2016. But the state of politics today is a really scary place because the two sides have become so polarized that there's only one side that I truly feel like it's on the right side of history. And just for those asking, like, man, you had me with the motivation, you had me with the fitness, why you had to ruin it and get into politics? Look, we're talking about the world. I'm talking about the well-being of my kids and the future of your kids. And people who are on the side of telling people what they can do with their bodies, people who are on the side of telling people that what they know in their mind is not what they know in their mind, are not people on the right side of history. People who are trying to control what books our kids can consume, and it's not because of a legitimate reason, it's because you don't like the topic. People who create these class wars and create these electrifying topics that don't even exist, these scare tactics that make everyone think, especially on the right, that the whole world is coming for them, convince Christians that the whole world is against them, and all these other components have really destroyed our republic, and it's kind of scary to see. For the very first time in 2022, I voted Democrat down ticket. I'll never be a registered Democrat because I think once you're associated with a political ideology, you have to take everything that they're feeding you, where I have the flexibility to decide who I like on a case-by-case basis. I try to be very much pragmatic about politicians that I support, and even the ones that I support them with like 40% because it's like, how long is it going to take for me to find out who you really are? Money has corrupted our political system. The influence, the allure of fame, and all the other components have really turned things on its head. I don't know what the next stage looks like, but all I know is I want to be on the right side of history that protects people, protects queer rights, protects Black people, protects minorities, protects all Americans from being generalized and discriminated against. And just for the record, it is not discrimination for others to get equality. That is equality. Diversity is not discrimination. That is equality. So, with that said, as the show continues, when I have guests, I'm not going to be afraid to talk about really, really controversial topics, but I always want to make sure that the primary focus of the show is going to be to uplift and help you improve the overall quality of a life. This is the very first episode. Each episode will premiere on Wednesdays of each week. Again, I'm your host, Quick Jigs. This is the Know It All podcast, and I want to thank you for listening. Have a great day.